Hello, Year 5. I hope that you're having a good day and that you're ready for another maths lesson. Today we're going to revise a topic we have done in class before, multiplying and dividing by 10, 100 and 1000. Some of you may already realise that for this lesson you might need a place value grid. So you might have one in your home learning pack, or you could always draw one out. I'm going to show you one on the next slide. Please make sure as well you have got a sharp pencil and a ruler ready for today's lesson. Remember to look out for the pause button and the instruction. Make sure that you are pausing the video when you are answering, and then you can continue playing when you are ready, but otherwise the video will move on of its own accord. Here is what your place value grid could look like. Remember, you may need to draw extra columns on either end, depending on whether the numbers are getting bigger or smaller. So make sure you have some form of place value grid that works for you ready. Let's see how much you remembered from when we've done this together in class. Has this number been multiplied by 10, 100 or 1000? If you're not sure, don't worry, because I am going to go through the main teaching, but it's just to test some of your brains. Can you remember what we've done before? Were you correct? Well done if you got the right answer. We're going to start with the easy questions and then work our way upwards. Can you explain to somebody around you, parent, sibling, the dog, a plant, how you would multiply by 10? Think about using place value columns. Think about the vocabulary you're going to use. Okay, so I'm hoping that most of you have said that when you are multiplying by 10, you move each digit in the number one place value column to the left. We're not just adding zeros, and we're going to talk about why that's important later on with different numbers. If we look at the example of 25, now, I must just say on some of the slides and some of the place value grids, it says units. Now, we know that we call them ones. Okay, so just watch out for that. But if we look at the number 25, on this example, they have put the placeholders in the decimal place value columns. But you know that you need to start with the 2. Because you're multiplying, you're going to move to the left, you're getting bigger. So start with the number furthest to the left. So start with the 2, move it one place value column to the left, so from the tens into the hundreds. You then move the 5 from the ones into the tens. And then you need to check your placeholders. So we know that if we've got digits in the hundreds and the tens columns, that we need something in the ones column before the decimal point. So we would put a 0. Remember, the decimal place doesn't move. So it's quite hard for me to model how you would use your place value grid. But if you were, for example, multiplying 43.9 times 10, write the number in its original place value column, and then underneath you can move each digit one place to the left, checking for any placeholders that might be needed. So have a go at multiplying this number by 10. Were you correct? You can see that all of my digits have moved to one place value column. What about dividing by 10? Explain to somebody around you how you would divide by 10. So dividing by 10, all of the digits move one place value column to the right because the number is getting smaller. They move one place value column because we are dividing by 10. So 310.6 becomes 31.06. So again, it's your turn. Using the place value grid if you need it, can you divide this number by 10? Were you correct? Multiply these numbers by 10. Use the place value grid if you need it, and remember to check for any placeholders. Pause the video while you answer the questions. Now divide these numbers by 10. Pause the video. How did you get on? Pause the video while you mark. Let's move on to multiplying by 100. I'm sure you all know that when we multiply by 100, we move each digit 2 place value columns to the left. To the left because we're multiplying, numbers are getting bigger, and 2 place value columns because it's by 100. Have a go at multiplying this number by 100. I recommend that when you are multiplying, you always start by moving, first of all, the digit furthest to the left. So in this case, the 1. So the 1 moves 2 place value columns into the thousands, then move the 9, then move the 5, and then we know as there's nothing before the decimal place, we need to put in a placeholder of 0. And now looking at dividing by 100, you apply the same method, but this time the digits all move 2 spaces to the right. When you are dividing, it's important that you begin with the digit that is furthest to the right. So here I will begin with the 9. So the 9 will go from the ones column across 2 place value columns into the hundredths column. Then I take the 0. I must keep that 0. It is a placeholder. My digits must stay in the same order. And I move it from the tens column into the tenths column. Finally, I move the 8 from the hundreds into the ones to give myself 8.09. Multiply these numbers by 100. Pause the video while you answer the questions. Were you correct? Pause the video while you mark. And now try these questions. Make sure you are dividing by 100. How did you get on? So we have multiplied by 10 and 100. So I've decided it's really easy to multiply by 1000. All I have to do is add 3 zeros to the number. Am I correct? Read this word problem and explain whether I'm correct or not. You can either do this verbally or you could write down your reasoning in your book. So using these calculations as an example, can you explain how to multiply and divide by 1000? Hopefully you all managed to prove that I was incorrect in my statement earlier. So when multiplying by 1000, all of the digits move 3 place value columns to the left, and then we check for placeholders. This is why it's really important we don't just add zeros or take away zeros to numbers when we are multiplying by 10, 100 and 1000. It's very easy when you're working with whole numbers to fall into that trap. But you know that when you've got decimals, you must make sure that you are moving the digits rather than just adding zeros. Where things might get slightly trickier for you today is when
your place value columns that you actually don't have at the moment on your place value grid. So you'll see here I've added 2 extra columns. So just have a think, what would 6.4 divided by 100 be? I'm going to move to the right, so I'm going to start with the 4 first because that's the furthest digit to the right. See if you can work out what 6.4 divided by 1000 would be. It's really important with this question that you remember your placeholders. So hopefully you were able to move each of the digits 3 place value columns. So today you might need to add a few extra columns onto your place value grid, but you should be able to visualize it as well by now.
So moving on to your tasks, you obviously choose your starting point. Here are the questions for one idea, which is just sticking to, for now, multiplying and dividing by 10 and 100. So remember to use the place value grid. Perhaps try the multiplying ones first and then mark, and then have a go at the dividing. The answers will be in a couple of slides' time once I've explained the other tasks. So you may want to start here or move straight on to few ideas. So we are going to work with trickier numbers. Because we have done this in class before, I thought that it was the right time to challenge you. So you could start on few ideas, or you could start on relate. If you are starting on relate, it is very likely that you will need to either draw yourself more place value columns, or you might be at the stage where you can do it in your head. So choose which one you want to start on, and the answers will be on the next slide for one idea, few ideas, and relate. And then after that, the extend tasks will be there for those of you that want to do them. Here are the answers so far. Make sure you pause the video while you mark. If you're happy with today's lesson, to leave it there, then you can log off, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Or if you would like to stay with me and move on to the extend challenges, then you are very welcome.
Okay, I've got quite a few different fluency, reasoning and problem solving challenges coming up, so please do have a go at them. Read the questions carefully. I'm not going to explain them because I normally do let you go off on your own on the challenges. Have a go and see how you get on. I'm sure you realised that you had to use the inverse to work these out, so check the answers, and if you went wrong, can you identify where you made your mistake? Okay, on to the next challenge. Read the question carefully, look very closely at the numbers. There are commas in there for where they're separating the thousands, and there's decimal points, so make sure you're reading the number accurately. Off you go. The answers for 7A and 7B and 8A and 8B will be on the next slide. So before you go to the answers, have a look at this reasoning question. Can you please write down your explanation, and then you can compare it to the one that you'll have with the answers. Think about what language you will be using. Think about using the vocabulary, the spellings of like hundredths, for example. Column is on the board, or well, on your computer screen. So have a go at writing a response to these questions. How did you get on? Does your answer look similar for 8A and 8B? Now, obviously, they will all be different. If you are a little bit confused or you want to send me your answer so I can have a look through it, then you absolutely can email me with that. It's not over yet. I am really making you work today. So have a read of this. Who is correct? Please make sure you do a written explanation of who you think is correct. How how did you get on? Were you correct?
This is the final question, I promise. This is more of a discussion or investigation style question. So have a read. I've not got the answers on the slide because you may all choose to approach this in a different way. So if you do have a go at this question, email me or pop it on Padlet so I can have a look at it, and we can always have a little chat about it if you want. Other than that, well done for getting through all of the challenges today. I'm so proud of you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you soon.